pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm just looking at.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
I didn't know if you were.
Sorry about that.
I wasn't sure if you're making a political statement or something.
No.
But thank you. Okay.
Did you teach him that lesson?
Okay, I believe everyone, there's nobody new here, but would anybody request that we reintroduce ourselves? Or we feel comfortable that we know who's in the room? Everybody good?
Mostly, yeah.
Okay, all right, so let's go right into approval of the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look over them? If there are any corrections or additions? Hearing,
I would make a motion, we accept.
motion, second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Resolution 1, FP1, EP1. Resolution appointing directors to the Oswego County Civic Facilities Corporation. It's a local development corporation under New York State not-for-profit corporation law 1411. Motion,
So move.
second.
Second.
What this basically is, this is kind of like an entity within the IDA. It's, and Austin, you
it's
want to explain it?
related to the IDA. It's a different organization. The Civic Facility Corporation, the sole purpose for its existence is to issue tax-exempt bond financing for not-for-profit organizations. So hospitals, museums, libraries, other types of not-for-profits, they have the ability to issue tax-exempt bond financing. Now, for some of the people who are on there, you remember a couple years ago, it actually came in front of EDT. There was a bond financing for ConnectCare for the project here in the city of Oswego. So any project still needs to come through and get the full vote of the legislature to be approved. But this is a body that it's a board created and appointed by the county to do that specific purpose.
But all of the members that are on there are IDA members.
The bylaws of the organization are written as that the county administrator and the county treasurer or their designees are automatically members of the board, and then the rest of the board is made up of membership of the IDA. So 7-person board. So the other 5 members are made up of those of the IDA.
Okay. Questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
The tax exempt bonds, what secures the bond?
It's nothing related to the county. There's no recourse to the county. It's they're covered by the market. So it's like any other sort of bond that's issued, private activity bond. They're not guaranteed or paid in any way by the Civic Facility Corporation, the county, or anything like that. So they're sold on the market. They're either private placement or they're public offering of bonds. It's just the ability to they don't pay. It's federal taxes. They don't pay on that, so it allows them to do a lower interest rate because the person who buys those isn't having to pay the taxes on the money that they generate on interest. So it allows them to be sold at a little bit less or have a little bit less rate than just a normal taxable bond.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Anybody have any other questions? Okay. Motion to accept? We already did the motion, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. EP2, resolution declaring the intent of the County of Oswego to act as lead agency for the purpose of seeker concerning the County Route 89 Shoreline Stabilization Project. Motion?
So move.
Second.
Second.
I know we've heard about this stabilization for 89 right along the river, the lake there, and in order to do that, we've gotten funds. But when you have funds, you have a seeker process, and there has to be a lead agent that takes over, does all the paperwork, works with all the different entities that are with it. So it is basically making the Oswego County the lead agent for the seeker process. Any questions? Discussion? Hearing none? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. EP3, resolution authorizing the execution of cooperative agreement with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation under ECL 11-2101 Salmon River 2A lot compactor pool. Motion?
So move.
Second. DEC loves Salmon River along with us. They love having people come in. They want to make it nice. The compact pool is with county property. And what it is there's parking there. The people come in for fishing. They want to kind of spruce it up. They want to put signage there, possibly even another dock for kayaking, and eventually maybe even a porta potty. So they're just trying to do it. We would continue to maintain with the cutting of bushes and plowing and all of that good stuff. Ed?
Yeah, this is a heavily used parking lot currently, adjacent to the transfer station. And every year it seems to be used more and more. It's not only used by the fishermen, but the kayakers and tubers. And it is in the entrance of the transfer station. So in Saturdays and on busy Fridays, it's very congested. This will allow us to enlarge that back eastward, make more room, and a driveway up through to the transfer station. I support it.
Any other questions, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. 5-4, EP4, resolution authorizing budgetary modification Department of Workforce Development to accept additional revenue for the New York Systems Change and Inclusive Opportunities Network. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Rachel?
This is the same as you voted on last month for our New York Scion program from the state for our disability research coordinator, helping individuals with disabilities get into the workforce or back into the workforce. This is for $100,000. There's two pots that funding for this program come from. So last month was an allocation out of the Office of Mental Health.
I think it was mental health last
Yeah,
month.
last month was mental health. This one is actually, it's coming right out of the Department of Labor. It is the governor set aside of WIOA funding. She reallocates it to this program. So each area gets $100,000 to run the program a year. So this is our annual. budget
So
for
we
it.
get it every year. Okay. Questions, concerns? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. EP5, resolution authorizing a budgetary modification to increase STOA revenue and appropriations for the Office of Mobility Management. Motion?
So moved.
Second? Okay. Once again now, I see you're bringing in $700,000 from STOA?
Yes,
Yes. And is this an annual? Is this something extra?
this is a fifth STOA payment that we get at the end of the year. So basically, there's a formula that the state follows. And at the end of the year, based on how much ridership we have, they take that leftover money and divide it up between who receives the funding. Because we have had such an increase in our ridership, we had $200,000 more in our fifth payment than we did last year.
Yeah. So this is more than we budgeted for.
Yes, it will be. Yeah. So last year, and the breakdown's here for you guys to see, but we roughly brought in 1.7 million in STOA revenue. So this year we're definitely going to exceed that. And if you guys take a look at our public transit contract, it's year 1 of 3. It's 1.2 million for our public transit contract. So increasing STOA and then driving our contract costs down. That extra STOA revenue should go towards our access to Shreveport County service, which is our demand response.
So that's $500,000 that we have beyond what it's costing us.
Yes, and it will probably be more because the state is increasing the STOA formula. They haven't told us what it is yet, the new formula, but we're anticipating more.
Okay, excellent.
And just for the good of the committee, that is an incredible story because not 3 years ago, we were talking about the fact that we were losing $500,000 a year on that agreement. And to now be making money on it shows just how incredible the job we've done at the county and how awesome Heather has done. And also how good working with having more than one vendor and having a purchasing process that solicits additional competition. So,
Yeah, just so that that you're new on economic and that is that we used to only have one vendor. OCO, that was it. They were the only ones, but then we were kind of stuck. And then all of a sudden, we finally, she was able to get us some more buses. We had something that we could offer another vendor. And now we got more than one vendor. And what happens with competition? Last year it went down. This year even more. So that's excellent.
Very good.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we have 2 walk-ons. Let's see. 5-5. No, I mean 5-6. There we go. Resolution authorizing the execution of various make-ready applications in connection with the broadband project and waiving the county's procurement policy in connection therewith. Motion?
I'll move it. Second.
Okay. Basically, and then I'm sure Tim will go into it further, is that we have vendors that have to apply in order to take care of the poles. They have to be able to go out and determine, okay, we have to lift this one up. We have to get new poles for these. These are fine, but they have to be able to do that. So they apply. Well, 64 of them have applied and 8 of them are finalized. Okay, guys, let's go. But that's what this resolution is for, is to approve the 8. But along with that is, instead of having to call this group together every time another application comes, which there's 56 more applications, I'm sure we don't want to come together. Okay, I got another resolution we have to pass. Is that we're giving the ability to approve the next one. Remember, these applications have been approved by National Grid, and they have to be approved by National Grid to say, okay, I approve to be able to go out and to determine and to fix these pole lines for our broadband. So therefore, we're giving, the resolution is actually to waive the county's procurement policy to allow the chairman, vice chairman, or the director of tourism planning to be able to approve, to be able to get these to a vendor to get the work going. Anything further, Tim?
No, it was great. And I was going to give a little update during the update portion, but I think it makes sense to do it now if that's okay. So I did include a map of what the current broadband project looks like. I will say it's, Kyle's here back in his office. He has been kind of our broadband guru here for going on 18 months, 24 months. But we have had a lot of moving parts. And just as a quick reminder, so this is about a $30 million project. It was awarded through a competitive application process almost 2 years ago now.
2 years ago.
That going through New York State's Empire State Development and their new Connect All office. The project that we proposed 2 years ago included no local share. So the entire project is funded between the State Connect All grant, which was about $25 million, and a $4 million local share, but it's our ARPA funds that we designated for the project. So about a $29 million project was our original plan. Over the 2 years that have passed and the constant changes between the state, National Grid, and a whole lot of other places, we have gotten down to a project that you kind of see in front of you on the map. The original plan was to go out and hook up houses all along the county, right? The plan was to try and serve as many as possible. But over the 2 years that we've been working on this, the costs have unfortunately gone through the roof. We've seen some places quadrupling to 6, 7, 8 times the original pricing that we expected 2 years ago. And so working with the state, we meet with them weekly for a couple hours every single Wednesday evening. They have helped us to tailor the project down to what is accomplishable. I forgot to say, the most important piece of all this is that this is funded through federal infrastructure dollars that have to be spent and reimbursed by the end of 2026. So we have now, it's March, less than 9 months to complete this project. So with that in mind, the state has helped us to adapt our original map and our original plan to a project that is still completable. As I said before, we've seen prices skyrocket. There was over $650 million that the federal government gave New York State to do these projects. I believe there's somewhere between 16 and 18 of these other projects that are being done in this state. And what we're finding is that there's just not enough vendors to do all that work in only 8 months. And they know there's $650 million of federal money out there. So the price has gone through the roof. We started off at a price of $89,000 per mile for this project. We're looking at $244,000 per mile now. And so obviously there's only so much money. We've had to kind of move the project. So if you look here, what you'll see is that the plan today, and we do believe we will complete this in time, is to kind of retract some of our laterals that we're going to go out the fingers off the network and to instead go with what they call a middle mile project. There's a loop here that goes all through our entire county that the county will own. This is infrastructure the county will own that we can then partner for phase 2, phase 3 with private for-profit companies, that firms you've heard of, to go, and they'll come off of our backbone and they will, at no cost to taxpayers, build out to the communities around there. So we believe that this is the best project that we can do and complete and get reimbursed on by the end of this year. So with that in mind, I don't know, and I learned all this somewhat recently, there are almost 7,000 poles, telephone poles, on this map. Okay, every single one of those poles are owned by National Grid and a telecommunication company, Verizon, Windstream, one of those. In order for us to put our little line on every one of those poles, we have to get permission. And in order to get permission, you have to ask National Grid if you can do it. What they require you to do is they say, yeah, we'll give you permission, but first we need to make sure that that pole has the integrity, structural integrity, to add another line. And if we don't think it does, then you need to pay to replace it. And so they look at every single one of those 7,000 poles, they check every single one of the integrity, and any of them they feel need to be replaced, it's now on us to replace. And so what we did is we put together 64 applications. Each of those applications have potentially 100, 120 poles on them. And we give them the National Grid and we say, please review these. And they come back and they say, okay, so far you'll see 8 of those in almost 18 months, 8 of those have been reviewed by National Grid. And they said, this is what needs to be done on these 8 applications, or about 800 poles, to be ready to put your wires on it. So once we get that back from them, we can then put that out to bid. We can say, hey, I've got 100 poles located here. Here's your map. There's maybe 12 companies that National Grid has said, that's their piece. You can't just hire any company to go do the work, to move poles and all that. You have to hire one of National Grid's approved contractors. There's a list. There's a dozen or whatever. And so what we're looking to do with this thing is that instead of every time we put out a full 30-day RFP, and we say you can only respond if you're one of these 12 companies, what we're doing instead of that is we're going to solicit those 12 companies directly. We're going to say, here's the work. Give us a price. And instead of waiting the 30 full days and then bring it back to the legislature to approve 64 times, we just don't have time to get that done. What we're going to do instead is we're requesting that you authorize the chairman, vice chair, and myself to review those, put them out, and then come up with an answer. Who is the, we call it the lowest and most responsive bidder, who can do it in time and has the qualifications needed to do this work. And that should cut off potentially between 4 and 6 weeks an application in our timeline.
Rich, yes.
Oh, go ahead, Rick.
I would just add that the waiver of the procurement policy is that it may not go to the lowest that's quoted, because a company could be the lowest but not be available to start till November, and we're under a deadline of 12/31/26. So looking at the quotes that are solicited from these vendors that are pre-approved by National Grid and must perform to National Grid spec on moving the electrical or setting the poles. Sometimes it's a clearance issue across roads. There will be prices that are quoted on the estimate, and then the final comes back, and then Tim's department will look at it and say, well, this one's low, but they can't start until later in the year. It disrupts our ability to string cable. We may have to deviate a little bit on that. And again, we can only use pre-approved grid vendors, so it may not always be the lowest. I just want to point that out.
And also, if I can be clear, so New York State Connect All Office has also approved this waiver as well. I think that's an important piece to mention.
Well, the standard is lowest responsible bidder. So, it could still be the lowest bidder who's responsive. If they can't start till November, then that's not responsive to our needs.
Right.
So.
The actual hanging of the broadband cable is not as involved as some of this stuff.
That's a great point. And if you
only electric.
yes, it's only the electric portion of this. And it's crazy that we've been working on this. Like I said, 18 months probably with grid and all these things. The crazy part is you spend all this time just getting permission, but once you actually hire the guy to put the line up there, it's going to be done in a week. It's crazy how quick that piece is, but the rest of it just takes forever. In fact, I believe that not a single line has been hung in any of the other 17 projects in the state yet. Is that true? Maybe one of them?
Livingston might have some.
So just to show you just how this process is taking across the state.
But no one else is really.
Yeah, who polices their performance? I assume National Grid approves their work, but who keeps them on schedule?
That's a great question. So National Grid will do the ultimate review, the final review, and say, yes, they've done it to our scope. And then what they do is they give us a license, which allows us to then do the work to put the line on there. But who makes sure prior to that? We are internally responsible for that. And we are actually looking at bringing on somebody who worked for Verizon for 20 years, who hung lines throughout our county to essentially be the guy in the van watching to make sure it gets done on time. So,
Well, safe to say inside this red line is phase one.
absolutely, yeah. Well, you're saying inside of it? I would say the line is phase one. That's
Okay.
that's kind of the highway, so to speak.
We're still not, we're going to go back out to the farther reaches later.
That's the plan.
That's
Yes,
the plan.
absolutely. In fact, that's why if you'll see here, we also have any of these stars on the map. That's where we're putting. They're called POPs, point of presence.
Yeah.
Those are kind of the brains sections. Once those exist, we can hire or we can contract or other for-profit companies can come in, tap into there and run off our lines to build out their own infrastructure.
All right, we have to have this done by when?
End of the year,
Chance of extensions?
0. It's, we've been told without, we tried through NISAC, we tried through, what's the state, NACO, and there's 0 chance we are hearing.
So if there's no extension, how are we gonna go for the second and third phase outside the?
Additional funding streams. There will be additional funding streams. Broadband is a huge focus. Yeah,
Okay.
BEAD's coming out next year.
If for some reason the project isn't completed, do you at least get reimbursed for the work that has been done?
Fair question. What we have been told is that there's a fundamental completion requirement. We've asked them to clarify what that means. And as you can imagine, the state has not clarified that.
Mhm.
We are in the process of finalizing a revised GDA, grant disbursement agreement,
Mhm.
that will, through the help of our attorneys, and we actually have contract with a broadband attorney as well, make sure that we have language in there that protects us. One of the things you'll see on this map is the red line and purple line, right? That's your backbone. What we've done is there was a little bit of funds left over after that. And so what we did is we tackled, you see here 11, 16, 13, 15. Those are laterals that we hope to also accomplish. Those ones are directly hitting a large majority of unreached folks. And so what we did is we came up with a couple that's like our phase 1 laterals. Had we had more money and more time, we had laterals all throughout the whole county. Those will be our plan to go forward. If we cannot get that done in time, so let's say we get to June or May and we're like, it's not going to get done. These contracts are taking too long, whatever. Then we've talked to the state about withdrawing those laterals and backing it up just to the backbone. But we had some money left over. We didn't want to leave it on the table, so we're attempting to hit as many as we can.
So those huts that are on the map, basically years ago, Mid-State Telephone used to have those little connection huts. So that's basically what these huts are.
The huts are 10 by 10 buildings that house the electronics that send the signal throughout the
Just
whole
like-
backbone. Yeah,
Just
essentially
like
the same.
telephone company did back in, a long time ago.
Don't age yourself, Paul. Chris?
I'm not, I had the word different,
Yeah.
sorry.
So do all the vendors have to be approved before work is done?
For this specific thing you're talking about, yes, but they're already pre-approved. So they're pre-approved through National Grid, and their poles that the work's going to be done on. So we have to authorize them by contract per application. So let's say there are 15 vendors. All 64 of these applications will be given to them over the next 5-6 months, however long it takes, and they will respond. So we could potentially award, applications 1, 7, and 14 to Company A. 2,
And they can
3,
start.
and then they can start as soon as the application is
Okay.
awarded. Yeah, and that's our goal, is because we couldn't wait till it's all completed to take the next step. Every application we get, we're going to put out. And then as soon as we get enough of them together, we're going to build it. And we're going to start lighting houses, because you can't wait until the whole thing is done to build it. So there will be sections of our county that are hit before other sections haven't been approved.
That's going to be quite an oversight though.
It is. And we've got really great people. Kyle does an incredible job here. We brought on the DANC, which is the Development Authority of the North Country. The gentleman who built their entire network, his name's Bob Durantini, has been contracting with us. He's really been our expert. And then we're also looking at bringing another gentleman on who, again, has 20 years experience with Verizon with hanging wires. We're going to try and bring him on to work with us directly. And then ultimately, we talked a lot about it now, but the county is required to own this for the next 10 years. There will be some maintenance and some other operations costs. And so we are planning on doing is coming up with a plan that would allow revenue to come in. Again, we own it. We can make money off of it. There are a lot of folks out there who would love to have access to a broadband network. And we have the authority and probably responsibility to make sure that we are being as efficient with what we own as possible. The thought would be there will be revenue off there, and there will be expenses. And I'm sure we haven't necessarily completely figured out how we're going to do that, but the thought would be that the revenues hopefully would offset any of the expenses for at least the 10 years that we have this.
Big project, very convoluted, very challenging, but necessary. Anybody have any other questions, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Passed. Okay, EP 7. I got it here someplace. There it is. EP 7. Resolution creating a position in the Office of Mobility Management. Motion?
Second.
Okay. Heather, you want to explain what you're looking for here?
Help. That's what I need. I have one staff member on maternity leave and I have one additional staff member. Regardless of if that staff member was on leave or not, I still need help. Our phones are ringing off the hook and there's just been a huge increase in people calling and needing support. We're also going into spring, which is our event season. And there's sometimes where we do 3 events in one day, like tabling, and I can't be at all of them. There's things that I have to do in the office as well when it comes to reimbursements and working with the state, and some of my time is being taken away from those obligations because it's just been so much. I want to be in the community as well, and I can't do all of it by myself.
Anybody have any concerns? This, as we all know, this department has been growing leaps and bounds and doing exactly what we told her to do when we hired her, so.
Just wondering, the county share, is that gonna be ongoing or?
Yes, so the position is funded the same way as my position as well as our staff, which is 90% is funded through federal and state mix, but there is a 10% local match. So county can decide to pay the 10% local match for the salary, or you guys, if you decide, you can pull it from the DOH funding and have our department 100% covered. So it's up to you guys.
That was my question.
Yeah,
And this is the first I'm seeing this, instead of using our fund balance, can we use any of the additional money we've brought in to help pay for this position?
Yeah.
So we typically, like with our grant comes out typically around April for the current FY year, which is this year. So I'll typically put in our actuals and then our projections for 2027. We've received our funding for mobility management for 24-25, and it's more than what we spent. And so we will be putting in extra rent and utilities to hit the full grant amount so we can get that reimbursement. But we haven't applied for the grant that funds it yet for this year because it comes out in April for the 2-year period. So we will put in the actuals of what we will spend into that grant.
So how does this
Will
work?
this have to be amended then? So it doesn't say?
Well, yeah, you could amend it to use you said the DOH money, you've got 3,000 used there.
Yeah, we have a bunch of DOH funding as well. You guys can fund it either way. I always think the best way to fund this role is through Grant 5311, which is how we've always funded our department. But again, like that extra 10%, you guys can decide if you want to have that come out of the general fund or if you want to just pull that from our DOH. DOH balance is 1.5 million roughly right now, maybe a little more.
Sounds to me like we've got more than enough money then for it to be 100% funded.
Yes.
That's the way I would.
Yeah.
Then you just do an amendment, you just make a motion to amend, to remove unappropriated fund balance and to use the correct account numbers, and we'll look them up for
We can help.
DOH, yeah.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now to
Aye.
vote on the resolution as amended. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good, excellent. Okay, now, as Roy had suggested last month, that we turn our reports around a little bit so everybody has a chance to finish and we're not rushing. One thing I would like to bring up is that since economic planning and development, our committee goes usually many times right up to 11 and we're pushing out, I have discussed it with the chairman as well as the chairman of health. And what we're planning on doing is we're going to switch. So health will now, from this month going on, health will be first at 9 o'clock. And that we will then be at 10:30. So that then we have open-ended and we don't have to end our meeting and have people rushing through it. So I need to know, is,
Not great for me. Yeah, my work's been,
yeah,
not good for me.
if the, okay, this is 2 members that means that you're not going to be able to make this with plans?
No, I didn't say that.
Well, I mean, I just want to know whether or not this will work. I don't want to, I'm just trying to make it so that we have more time to be able to discuss. And I tried to push health out a little bit later and they said, no, they said, but they would switch with us. So,
So why isn't 2 hours enough?
because we've got so much to cover. I mean, we have a lot of things, we have a lot of good reports going on. We have a lot of activity.
Started 8.
Yeah. Oh, well, there's an option. Okay, there we go. To start at 8:30.
I think a better idea would be to move health to 11:30.
Whatever.
Well, I'll tell you what, I can go up, then I will,
That's why we need it to find out the
Yes.
pros and the cons of this.
exactly. And there's the health chairman right there.
Exactly.
So,
Then if we can do it, 11:30.
I think it's up to you
yeah,
as the
Well,
chairman.
I gotta pass it through my committee tomorrow, next, and,
okay.
I'll communicate
Less
to you.
people would be disrupted. I mean, it would be just
Okay.
the health committee versus everybody in the health committee.
Because sometimes monthly, we can be in and out of health in a half an hour, 45 minutes. Sometimes it takes us an hour or two,
Yeah.
but it never runs to that 2 hours. Well, except for the end of the year when we do the budgets. That's about it.
Right, but it's because we have one department instead of the many.
Right.
Exactly, so we have so many. So that would be, okay, that's why I brought it to this, and I didn't change it without meeting everybody to find out. So Paul will bring it up on health, see if everybody's cool with it, that you guys just start a half an hour later, and we should be good. Everybody okay with that? All right, well, let's see. Well, it wouldn't change us at all. We would still be here next month at 9, irregardless at this point.
We just wouldn't be rushed out if we're.
Right, if it works out. So let's try with
We'll
that.
see.
Okay,
Extra half an hour and
Okay. all right. Thank you, Paul. All right,
You're right.
so let's go.
It's okay with me too.
Yeah. Okay, so let's flip it then, and let's start with mobility management.
Yay!
First.
First, good
Yeah,
morning.
I know you never laugh.
I did want to mention that I do have an intern from Rachel's work-based learning program.
Paid work experience.
Paid work experience program. She's been doing fantastic. She is a SUNY graduate, and that is the candidate I'm heavily looking at hiring into our office. She's been working for about 4 or 5 weeks now, doing a fantastic job, and I said I really want to keep that talent. So really good quality candidates coming in that program.
Good.
So I put the STOA letter in the breakdown. I know we discussed that a little bit, but what about Centro, right? We had an increase in OPT, but how's Centro doing? So I went to a board meeting last Friday, and Centro was super excited to announce that since the Better Bus Oswego and Better Bus Fulton project launched in January, I think it was the 26th, right, during the blizzard. Fantastic day to launch that. But ridership has increased on the Centro buses locally 10%. They said a lot of the increase is coming from the Fulton area, and that they're still looking at everything overall, but 10% from the end of January to now is a big increase on public transit. So it's not just our system, but it's Centro's system as well, because our office guides people to whichever service is available to them.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yes. I've also put in here, so we do have our first TAC meeting, our transportation meeting of the year. And Roy and I, initially when TAC was created, there was a core group of members. I want to say maybe there was 6 to 10 original members of TAC. Roy would have a better memory of that. And there was structure to the group. The group was able to vote and bring ideas to the table and work collaboratively. And we have grown this committee tremendously now, where we have about 45, 50 people that will show up every time we have a TAC meeting. And so, although that's fantastic, and we love all the general public and everybody coming, I want to bring the group back down to our core foundation and reestablish the TAC voting members that we have. And this is the original structure that was brought to me and that we've recreated for the 2026 year. So I want you guys to be able just to review and take a look at the TAC members that we have on there. The idea is for TAC, when the group has ideas, to be able to pass those ideas to come up to the EDP level so that you guys can hear what's going on from the community and where the needs are. That is the idea behind the group and behind the focus of this. So that's
No, so now when you have your meetings, these are the only people going to the meetings?
No, so meetings will always be open to the public, but these are the members that will be able to vote
Okay.
during the meeting.
Okay. Noel?
My only concern with this list is there doesn't seem to be anyone in the private sector on it.
We do have private sector in here as well.
What's that?
We have a resident by the name of David Fairs.
Yeah.
He's a public
Transit
transit rider.
rider. He's just a rider. He's been
But
there
not
for
a business
years, as I
owner.
recall.
Yeah.
Hasn't David been on this for years?
David,
Yes.
he hasn't been an official voting member, but he's been involved with tax since.
He's right since the very beginning. I remember when I was there, yeah.
That's the only drawback I see.
Well, you can come to one.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have a vote.
We could add,
You wouldn't
and
have
again,
to
this is the first year we're establishing this again, so we can add members as we grow and learn and figure out. I just wanted to have people that represented veterans, officers of aging, recovery,
Right, Eric-
transportation.
so Eric, as the Veteran Services Director, is a new addition to the committee, correct?
Yes.
Now,
I,
does this committee have to be voted on, or this is just, I mean, are we appointing them, or it's an advisory committee?
so it's not established by resolution, and this is what, I need some direction from the committee, because we can bring this back to TAC today, and TAC could pass, accept the group, and send it up to EDP for you guys to vote and accept it from there.
And it's recommended by this committee, appointed by the chair of the legislature.
Okay, so if they are appointed,
So
then-
this committee would approve, and then it would go to Jim for approval.
So we would need to do a resolution then next cycle for this group, right?
I think you need, the way that reads, you don't need a resolution, it's a motion by this committee to approve the list. We
recommend
it to Jim, and Jim approves it.
So,
And then Jim selects the chair of that.
yeah,
group.
I'll make a motion to recommend to the chairman that we approve this list.
Second.
second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we'll give this to Jim, make sure that everything's okay, and I'm sure it will be,
Thank you.
and we can move on to that.
I appreciate it.
If I could just say,
Oh, yes,
so I think it was about 2018 or 2019 that we established this committee because things were just a
it
mess.
was you that came to me in the hallway. Now, don't you think you'd like to sit in on this committee? And I stand in, and I go, whoa. It was nothing like this. So I was it for a while, but then Roy took over, and
Well,
Yes.
previous to that, we had this really just ad hoc group of people, and some of the same people there, but nothing ever got done. And it was all on Dave Turner's plate. Basically, there was no mobility management. So
No.
that's started the whole ball rolling. Eventually, working with what's the outfit in Jefferson County, volunteer,
Oh, the Volunteer Transportation Center.
and you worked for them, and then
Yes, I did.
we robbed.
we robbed you. Yes, we stole you. Yes.
The best move we ever made.
Mhm.
And we actually were getting called out by the public on the ledge meeting. We had somebody at the podium that was talking about transportation and why can't we do better?
Yeah.
And that, I believe, was in 19.
Yeah, and we did, and we have.
And we're gonna keep it moving.
Yes, sir.
Move up higher will help.
I have two more updates. So we did turn on a feature in our app this Sunday. So the great thing is that we've been getting a ton of feedback from people using the app, providers using the app, other county employees using the app, and we're able to customize it, go in, make tweaks, make changes, because it's customized for our community. And so one thing that we did over the weekend was we turned on a feature called Mode Preference. And mode preference is to make sure that we're serving the people that need transportation the most. Access is a service to fill in gaps of where the central bus is not going. We don't want to duplicate their service. There's federal regulations on how we accept STOA, and we don't want to do things that they're already doing. So when somebody goes into our app and they type in their starting and their ending address and they click Plan Transit, if there is a Central bus that is available within 30 minutes and the walk is less than 3/4 of a mile, it will not show them an Access bus option. It will show them just the Central option and give them walking directions to that bus stop and the schedule for that route. If the bus is not available within 30 minutes or it's not available at all, or the walking distance is too great over that 3/4 of a mile, it will let them book our Access bus to pick them up. This is to make sure that we can reach those folks out in Hannibal or up in Williamstown or Constantia that don't have any service at all. This is going to wean out about 10 to 15% of the trips that have been filtering through the app which is good because it's gonna put them on Centro's transit line, which is where they're supposed to be. This is just gonna help guide them to the right service.
What about people that can't walk that far?
Yes, that's where mobility management comes in. So if they can't walk the 3/4 of a mile, they can book an access trip, or we can work with them alternatively on a Central Call a Bus application if they're within the service range of that. Central has a small bus just like ours that are made for people with disabilities. The challenge is that it's a 21-day waiting period after the application is submitted. So you see my team members will go drop off these applications to doctors' offices, and then sometimes the doctors will take 1, 2, 3 weeks to fill it out. We go pick it up, we write a support letter, we mail it into Central sometimes for them if they need help with that. And then the ticker starts from there. So sometimes you have people that are 4 to 5 weeks while they're waiting for that application that need assistance. So in that gap, we're able to send an access bus until their application is approved. The last update I have is super fun because it's regarding funding, but they keep throwing money at us, which is great. So more capital funding. This is 100% state funded projects, which means we will not pay anything for anything awarded in this grant. It's 100% covered. We're allowed to apply for up to $2.5 million in capital funding, which I love. Except for we just filled out a grant application, and there's going to be a resolution coming to this group pretty soon because we had another grant that we were awarded a bunch of other capital items in. So what I did here is I said, I really need to think outside of the box. What other county departments need help? We have $2.5 million we can apply for. So I reached out to the county highway department, and highway explained to me that they had a salt shed that they weren't able to get rebuilt or refunded. So we're going to put that salt shed in this grant application to help highway. Tim also has a project in his department for moving lights.
Yeah.
We'll call them moving lights for legends.
Lights on wheels?
Lights on wheels. So we're having a couple different unique things that we're going to try to put in here. I am going to put in bus shelters. We have 0 bus shelters for Oswego Public Transit. With Jefferson County connecting their system to ours this summer, we're going to want to have some type of a shelter up in Pulaski. So this grant supports a lot of regional initiatives, and so I'm going to work with the mobility manager in Jefferson County so that we can come together to work on putting bus shelter and a hub up at that Pulaski burn area.
Question, I have seen it other places that with bus stops, especially in the outer, they have shelters for the horses for Amish. Have you seen any of that? Have you heard anything? Or even tie posts for the horses? Because a lot of the Amish use the buses.
We could add it in. I love the idea of having maybe like a tie post because that is a big transfer station for the Amish. And the Amish do tie their horses up there.
Yeah.
They come down from Hubleton. They transfer onto our small buses up at that Pulaski burn area.
Yeah.
And they go. So
Yeah,
that'd
because
be great for that.
I think it would be good because I know I've seen sometimes they're tied to trees and stuff, and that isn't really good, or posts that really shouldn't be. But yes, if we have official posts, because I do know that a lot of them do use the buses.
Yes,
So.
we put German Dutch on the buses. I don't know if everybody knows that, but the second language that we have is German Dutch because we have so many Amish riders that now it will announce the stop in English and then German Dutch right after.
Cool.
Heather, another department to check with might be emergency management, because they have bus pickup points on evacuation routes. That might be a justification for signage or shelters around certain parts of the county.
That's a good one.
Well,
Okay.
I want, just before she leaves, I'll insert that question now. We're still working on this one.
okay. Anybody else have any questions? Do you have anything else to share with us, or? Did you
If
get some more
anyone's
buses?
oh yes.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Wait, I
I know.
got one more. This grant needs to be they have to be transportation related projects, or?
We have to relate it back to transportation, and one of the ways we're doing that with the salt sheds is we can't drive our buses on the roads without them being salted. Our grant writers are working on the wording
Yeah.
of
Get
that.
that to go.
But yeah, we do have to tie the projects back to transportation.
Okay, so transportation needs related to people being able to access DSS, would we be able to access that funds to complete the parking lot at DSS?
That's a good question, and yes, because I think so, make a good case for it in the grant, because DSS is also a transfer hub for both bus lines. And it's a regional hub, if you think about it, so we can do something there that's a park and ride location also.
Reconfigure the entrance there for the buses
Mhm.
and do something with the parking problem out there.
We should talk, the grant is due in May.
Okay.
So let's connect on that.
All right.
That's good. Yeah, buses.
Yeah.
Yes, we are picking up the Chenango buses on Friday. We had to get the titles in hand and then temp tags and insurance and all the things. But now that we have all of that, we are going to get the buses on Friday and drive them back, have them inspected and put on the road. So we got 7 from Chenango. And in the grant application period that we had last, we were awarded also 7 vehicles. So we're going to be getting 14 vehicles added to our fleet pretty soon, and all different sizes, not just the traditional buses that we have, which are 16, 22, and 32 passenger, but we were awarded a waiver from the state to procure smaller vehicles, which are 8 to 14 passenger. We've never procured them before, so I can't tell you what they're going to look like, but those are coming as well.
Where are those stored? Where are they garaged and maintained?
So we store all of our county-owned buses at OCO's transit facility because they maintenance all of our vehicles. But yes, they're
And they
stored
have
there,
the capacity.
and they do have capacity, yes.
Well, that capital money at some point possibly is that you could have your own bus hub
Well,
transit.
that's the idea.
Yeah.
So the first step is being able to have a large enough fleet that we are confident that we could be able to operate on, take that fleet where we want to go. That's step 1, is building the fleet. Step 2 is getting the facility, moving the fleet to the facility.
Movers and shakers. Roy?
So tax meeting or transportation advisory committee, 1 o'clock today at Steamers. Anybody wants to come?
Glad that coming.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Paul?
That's what I was waiting for.
Mhm.
These buses come from Shenango.
Yes.
How old are they? You know?
Yes, they're 2018 models. We also are running our 2018 models still. These ones have 200,000 less miles than the ones we have operating on the road. So we will run them for at least 2 more years.
Why is Shenango updating their fleet, or they just went out?
Chenango's public transit system went under for a little bit. They contracted the mobility manager from Cortland County to come help them rebuild it. They didn't need those vehicles because they had procured, I think, 10 or 12 new vehicles that are 2022s, and their vendor said, we don't want those. And I said, I want them. You don't want those? We'll take them.
Yeah.
So that's,
So what are the 7 other vehicles besides the buses?
those are our new vehicles that we were awarded during our last grant application. So 3 of them will be replacements for our older ones that we have, and then 4 of them are expansion vehicles, which are the smaller ones.
Like minivans?
Could be. We
Okay.
have to at least have 8 passenger seats on them.
And our
So-
cost was what?
Per Chenango bus?
Yes.
$200.
Okay.
Couldn't even fill up the gas tank for that.
Yeah, you won't be able to fill it now.
Well, yeah, sure.
You guys can use those buses for anything. They're really unique. We can use them for public transit, but because the vehicles are technically retired before they were sold to us, that means the county can use them for more than just public transit services. If you have your highway department that needs to drive 3 hours away and borrow a bus to train their employees, they can hop in any one of these 7 vehicles and legally do it without any permission from the state. So if you guys want to take, I don't know, you want to go to a Buffalo Bills game as a group of legislators. I'm just saying, plan to be.
Don't put that out there.
Don't give us that.
Don't give them ideas.
Yeah, no.
So what is the recommended licensing? What do you gotta have for a driver's license to be able to do that?
For, like after the vehicle's been retired.
No, a driver. If
Ah.
you have these extra buses, what do you gotta have for the license?
So all of the bus drivers, These ones still have the CDLB requirement,
Okay.
but the new buses that we procured recently and will procure in the future, the weight threshold is a lot different with the materials that they're using now. And so our newer buses don't even require CDLBs anymore. So with the smaller ones, the idea is that the vendor were to hire the drivers in without a CDL license, with a smaller vehicle, and train them up to work on the bigger buses while they're already getting paid.
That's why I asked the question, because
Great
it's gonna
idea.
fall in Rachel's lap.
Yes,
Yeah.
Rachel does fantastic with the CDL.
Do they still need a passenger endorsement?
They will need a passenger endorsement and we still need endorsement.
Thank you.
Roy?
We have several new legislators. I know in the past, what we had done is procured a bus to take a tour of several different facilities. And I know some of our even legislators that's been on for a few years haven't been to every facility or haven't been on their own. And it might be good to do some sort of a bus trip with a little guided tour of, we could drive around the industrial park, see what they're doing over there, see some of the different sites.
I like that. It's a good idea.
Great idea.
Camp
Yeah.
Kirby,
It really is.
And so it's good to have people have a sense of the different facilities. Some of them we could tour.
I think it's a great idea. Yeah. So we'll have to sit there and get some
used to
dates and
organize
stuff.
that. Probably the last time we did it was 10 years ago.
At least, yeah.
Hmm.
I think I was on one, so with it, 8, 9 years. Okay, excellent. Any other questions for Miss Heather? Hearing none, okay, as we continue going backwards, okay, Mark is not here.
I do have an update from.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so there are 3 real big projects that we're working on the infrastructure side right now. The one that everyone has heard about, and I think we talked about last month, is the SOCRIS project. I want to give a quick update on the SOCRIS. That's the Southern Oswego County Regional Interceptor Sewer that runs along the southern portion of our county across the 25-mile recreational trail from Constantia to Fulton. Quick summary on that, it's about a $120 million project. We've been working to kind of come up with some funding plans for that. Most grants award $1 or $2 million, and it's tough to go to those grant applications and say, hey, I got a $120 million project, will you give me 2, right? They're going to say, where are you getting the other?
Yeah.
They don't want to waste the money. So one of the things that we've been working on, and it's a bit of a long shot, I'll be honest, but you don't miss 100, what did they say? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So 2 years ago, I believe it was, Onondaga County was able to get a huge expansion project that Aqua was doing put in the governor's budget. It's not a grant application. Essentially, the governor says, we'll include that, and then just pays for it. The taxpayer money, right? So what we are working on is getting the SOCRIS project put into the governor's budget. It would be just right in the line, and you do the project, and the state would pay for it. Well, in order to get in the budget, either the governor has to put it in there, or the Assembly and the Senate have to put it in there. And so we've been working with Assemblyman Barclay and Senator Ryan to see if they could put it in their budget. And Senator Ryan has sent a letter. I only brought one copy of it, but I do really want to highlight the fact that they've really been working on this. Senator Ryan sent a letter requesting that the project be included in the Senate budget. And we got copied on it, sent right to the majority leader of the New York State Senate.
That's huge.
Requesting $106 million for the Southern Oswego County Regional Interceptor. If you want to check it out, but really he's talking about the project will unlock $300 million plus investment in wastewater infrastructure, with the majority of the project being only 10 miles from the future Micron site. So this would be obviously incredible if this ultimately gets put in the state budget. We would not have to go. Now we do have a backup plan with 3 or 4 other larger grants, federal and state, that we are attempting to put together the funding for as well. And we met with all of the state and federal. We had a meeting yesterday with the federal representatives as well.
What about our lobbyist?
Get them to work on it too.
Yeah, I mean,
Can you give me a copy of his letter?
Yes,
and
absolutely.
what their stuff is?
Roy?
I think it would be, I've been working on a letter to send to, as a support. I think it would be useful, especially since it's a bipartisan ask to the state legislature, or to the governor. Anybody who wants to help, anybody who lives along the whole thing, anybody from Fulton, Volney, wants to supply a letter, would it be best to send it to you, or should we go straight to our reps?
It's a great question. Let me find out. Find out and we'll get
Actually,
details
we
sent
should
around.
probably do both,
Yeah.
because then you could include it in any grant applications now and in the future.
Well, we should get each legislator that's their district, as well as towns, villages, anybody that is within that
Yeah.
will,
Yeah.
get any kind of,
Support.
get their support to have a letter.
Don't have to live in it, but it would be nice.
No, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I know that many times I get requests from the village or the town that they're getting a grant. Could I please write a letter? And so that type of a letter
And
recommended.
what I noticed is, so several of the state, the federal reps, I got a note from, I think it was Jill Grand Schumer, and they're, now it's time for them to put in for projects as well. And some of those need 7 support letters to
Minimum.
go, to even apply. That's a minimum, is what I read. So they could be useful. I'm assuming that our engineer that's working on the Socris projects down in, at least in Constantia, or several parts of the program, have some, but the more they have, the better. So anybody who wants to, I don't think they have to be long, it just has to say, words.
And we can get a template together. If
I mean-
That's just what I was gonna say, because they used to send me a template. They would send me a template,
Yeah.
and then I could tweak it with my own personal
Yep.
comments and everything, but I know who I have to address it
Yeah.
to.
The key phrases are that this is transformational, this is like once in a generation project. This is a big deal.
So specific to the Socris project, because of the size, most of those congressional and Senate, they're only $1 or $2 million. And we'll quickly jump to the next project here. But for Socris purposes, internally we decided to not target those small $1 and $2 million grants at this point, because they could be better utilized for the other projects that are more attainable sooner, as opposed to getting a $1 million towards $120 million.
The other thing that was identified when we had the discussion is that those are funds that are supposed to be spent within 2 years. So if you're getting $2 million of $120 million and you don't have line of sight for the other 118, you might lose that money by the time you get the other dollars. So it's put it to something that you can use right away and kind of make happen.
Well, and it's been very, very competitive. They get 200 applications, our congressional district alone. So we need to make sure it's a project that they can see a path forward and completed within 2 years.
What I would say is if we get to $118 million, we're looking for the last dollars in. It's a great time to have that conversation with them about it, but not first dollars in.
So that's the Socris project. Again,
Wait a minute,
transformational.
Paul?
Wouldn't hurt to mention that the DEC loves this project.
Yeah.
That's a great point. They sure do. And with that in mind, they've already approved our preliminary engineering report without any conditions as well. DEC is a huge proponent of this project. The thought of being able to run all that wastewater on the entire North Shore completely away and put none of it back in the Oneida Lake, they love that idea. And it would be huge and transformational for the city of Fulton, because the city of Fulton has capacity to be able to actually make money off the entire run of the southern portion of our county. Could be huge. So I know the city is a huge proponent. There are 2 other projects, and I'll just touch on them real quick, because one of them is the Volney Sewer Extension Project, and that's one we had a meeting yesterday with congressional representatives to talk about applying for. It's a $7 million project. It connects areas in Volney that we've been working on for, I think Dave's been working on it for 15 years, around our airport and around our waste, Bristol Hill
Bristol Hills Transfer Station.
Transportation.
Yeah.
Yes, Bristol Hill Transportation. So Bristol Hill is not on sewer line, and currently what we do is the leachate, the gross liquidy stuff. We truck that every single day from our Bristol Hill station to the city of Oswego in a truck through residential neighborhoods, right? This project, if completed, would allow us, and there's some other stuff that needs to be done, but would allow us to run all that nasty stuff directly to the city of Fulton along the sewer line. It would also unlock that entire run of Route 3 from is that the elementary school, I believe?
Mhm.
The elementary school. There's also a project right on Route 3 where the gentleman's been looking to do a pretty substantial expansion, but without sewers has not been willing to do it. There's also a 56-unit market rate housing complex. It's a development, not a complex. Single family and dual family homes that the developer is looking to build, but again, it doesn't make sense to do it with septic systems. 200 acres, and has agreed to build this out if we can come up with a plan to get sewer along Route 3. It also runs by the town hall for Volney, and they are very excited about it being able to have sewer there. So great project, tons of value added to the community, and we believe it's a $7 million project. We believe that we can get the funds between 2 or 3 grants to get that done. So that's an exciting one. And Caroline's been a huge help with that. We were able to get the town of Volney signed up as a pro-housing community, which unlocks some additional funds through the state So there's a lot of assistance given by our office for that.
Well, didn't we approve something else for that just last month?
Was it Seeker? I don't remember what it was.
Could have been the secret, it was something that was going with that.
Program.
Yeah.
So we'll be putting that application in next week for Volney for congressional grants, and we had a meeting with them, and it seems very, very popular.
Okay, Chris?
Have you got some paperwork that you can send out on that? Just,
On the
yeah,
Volney
a little more
project?
background.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yep, we'll
Thank
do
you.
that. All right, and then the last one is the Phoenix County IDA Scruple Project. Four-way, four municipality, so to speak, agreement on an expansion project that has to get done in the village of Phoenix for their wastewater plant. And it is crucial for our expansion purposes at our IDA industrial park. We have almost 200 acres there that we have a great plan, a lot of money to expand, but if we can't treat the wastewater, it's going to be very difficult to put in the type of development there that we want to. This project, again, four-way, county, town, village, and IDA, is moving forward. Having four people at a table talking about any negotiation is very, very tricky, but the attorneys and the electeds who've been involved in the Sheffield as well, Austin as well, have been, I think, huge for that.
Just want to add, there's an existing IMA, but that IMA needs to be amended based on, changing the project costs and other things like that to kind of keep things moving along.
Yeah,
What's that?
it's been very challenging, to put it mildly.
What was that budget number?
15?
About $15 million total. Yep.
I think we got about 11-ish, 10-ish secured.
10 and a half, maybe. Yeah, somewhere in that
Yeah,
range.
we're almost there, but it's,
Just getting over the finish.
It does
line.
feel like that line moved.
It does.
yeah, this has been going on for a long, long time. And as with anything, you get a lot of people that, I think it was my father-in-law once said that a partnership is a tough ship to sail. And it is, because everybody's looking for their own interests. So, but we're coming together. Chris, you had a question?
What's an IMA?
Intermunicipal agreements.
Thank you. And you're saying what, for the development of the IDA property, what type of development is that going to?
So it's the expansion of the industrial park. I mean, primarily looking to attract businesses within the semiconductor supply chain, but other sort of logistics, warehousing, other light industrial. We're not looking to have like heavy industry in there. The infrastructure wouldn't support it from the electrical side. But, to be able to do that, you need to hook up to the sewer. They're currently under consent order with DEC on their sewer plant, which means they can't put anything new in unless they remove 3 times the amount of effluent somewhere else. So they're a game of whack-a-mole right now, and it's extremely expensive. So I've been here for 20 years, and in 2006 they had this issue, and we're finally solving it now. And so it's an issue that is going to, it's not going to just solve the DEC issue there, the I&I infiltration in their system consent order. It's also going to expand the capacity of the plant from 600,000 gallons a day to 1 million. So by doing that, it's actually going to open up about 800,000 gallons per day, because right now they're putting in about 200 to 250 on a dry day, and on a wet day it's like 1 million plus is going into their system, and they can't do that. So this is going to open about 800,000 gallons of capacity between the new capacity and not having that consent order anymore.
I&I is inflow and infiltration.
Yep.
Existing sewer,
We'll learn all sorts of fun stuff.
Oh, yeah.
water that gets in whatever.
Anything else?
That's it for infrastructure.
Okay, for infrastructure, going right up. Put your other hat on.
Okay.
Planning and community development.
Awesome. I'll do just a couple quick ones here, because I know also that David Owens is here. Owens is here to talk on the other things, so we'll jump over. So for planning, I want to touch base on the short-term rental registry. So we've talked about that a few times. Caroline has had incredible help on that. I appreciate your help. We do have a live short-term rental registry. So huzzah. It's exciting. It exists. I will tell you, it's been live for 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, like that. And we have, is there one yet? No, we have 0 people registered. So now it's incredibly affordable. It's a $50 2-year application for the registry. It's a little tricky. There are some things that we require, some application stuff here, but the real issue is that there's no real stick or motivation to get people to sign up. When it comes right down to it, we put it out there. We did press release. We've done, I think, a good job getting information out, but there's nothing saying, I mean, if you just kind of think on your own hat, if you're a private citizen and you don't own a short-term rental Airbnb, are you really going to go through the extra work to go online, find this thing, pay the $50 if you don't have to? I mean, I think we kind of saw this coming. So what we've had done since then is we've worked with both Airbnb and VRBO. So those are the 2 largest short-term rental companies. And what they're going to do is 2 things. The first one is that they're going to push out with a link with everything we need to do, our registry information to everyone in their system for Oswego County. So that will be the first piece where at least the information will get directly to their email. The second thing they're going to do, and we think this is really what's going to change it, is they're going to have a required field for everyone in Oswego County in Airbnb when you actually register that requires them to put in our registry number. If they don't have our registry number, they will not let them in the system. So
Well, that's huge.
we think between those two things, we're really going to start to get that buy-in. To be clear, there is no tax at this time. This is just the registry. The attorney's office has believed that, and understandably so, it makes more sense to understand what's out there before you start taxation. There is going to be some update to our local law for the taxation piece. Rich isn't here to talk on that. We can talk more about that next month. But
What about to entice them that you include in some of your literature, register listing?
it's a great
Who
point. We
is
talked about that.
registered? And, I mean, it would act as an advertisement for them as well, I think.
And that's a two-edged sword. And I'm curious about that to take maybe this committee. But one of the things that I've asked that, because I thought that I was like, well, we can say it's public, and here is your community. But what we heard from a couple of people, we have like, I don't want to say a task force, we have a couple of people who I know who are in that world. And I asked them if they saw value in it. And they were more concerned that it would be a highlight of where they're located to their potential local municipalities who may not be in favor of short-term rentals. And they saw it as more of like a highlighter of where we live. And, maybe we've been unfortunately asking more oversight and accountability from the codes office. I think as it becomes more expected, and there are hundreds of these on there, I think you're right. I think that becomes almost like a one-stop shop. And we can even advertise it from our...
I was going to say, depending on how you frame it, make it look like an advertisement, we can use it for other reasons.
I like that idea. Okay, so that's short-term rentals. Any other questions on that?
Austin, did you?
I was just going to say, I mean, I believe the tourism guide kind of currently lists other lodging and things like that. Could they become part of as a carrot? If you put this information, you get into the lodging side of the tourism guide.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we wanted anything sort of printing because they change so frequently, but I think the virtual option is a great idea.
Gotcha.
Here is
Even
where it is, here is where they are, maybe a link to...
A QR code to take you to the most active list of them?
I think we'll get there. I think it's just so new and nobody trusts the government to just make a new registry. Like, let's be honest. It's like, you're going to put me where? It costs me $50.
We're here to help you.
All right.
Noel?
I'm just curious, what's in it for the Airbnb and VRBOs to be willing to do
Great
that?
question. And we were a little concerned at first that they weren't going to be. What happens, though, is if they...
Amazing.
So there's a local law that requires them. If they're in violation of our county law, then they're no longer allowed to transact in our county. And so I think that's going to be the carrot and stick, I guess, is saying, worst case scenario, we shut it down. Now, there's no benefit to us if it gets shut down either. I mean, once we start the taxation piece of it, we want to be able to get that info. We want this to be seamless and easy. And so I think we have had some good talks with them. I think that they see the benefit as well. And the second thing I want to talk about is the comp plan update. So we are working very actively with almost 13 local towns and villages on updating their comprehensive plans. I just want to remind you, we do have an application and we sent it out, I believe, to all the planning boards, but to your local communities who are updating plans or have projects that are coming from an adopted plan, we have between $2,500 and $5,000 a community available, has to be spent by the end of this year, ARPA, to help support their comprehensive planning. As of today, I believe we have Town of Olney, Town of Granby, and then we're almost got an application from Town of Albion. Those are the three who filled out applications. So we'll be working on awarding them some funds towards their comprehensive plans, support mailings of surveys that people are putting out or other things like that.
And where do they get that application?
They can get it, I believe it's on the website, but they can get it directly from us as well.
Noel?
Does that include villages as well, or is it only one or the other?
It could be both, absolutely could be both. Especially in like Hannibal, for example, where
Yeah,
they have a
okay.
town and village, it would be, potentially it could be up to two of them. Sure.
Okay, thanks.
How much is it, Tim?
Well, again, we have a $45,000 total, so we've really tried to make sure everyone knows it exists. And as I said, we've got only 3 responses so far. Once the money's gone, it's gone. But $45,000 split over. I mean, we have 33 towns and villages, but really we only have probably 12 or 14 that are actively updating their plans. So figure about $3,000 a community is what we're looking at.
Thank you.
Then they would just email your office?
Yes,
Fill
or I
out the
mean,
application.
yeah, we can.
You gotta fill out an
There's an
Right,
application.
to get the application.
Yeah, absolutely. Or you can get a contact information. We can send it to them as well. And I think that's it.
Okay, now we go into promotion. Oh, I'm sorry, Chris.
Can I ask about the budget and planning with this? I don't know if there's time to ask about that.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Okay, so I was just looking at the, this is the planning, other fees and services, it's like 43,800. So it's, the original budget was like $1,500, and it was a $75,000. It's on page 15.
Shoot.
Fourteen, 15. Okay, now where are
What's
you?
your question?
Other fees and services, the original budget was 1,500,
Yes,
and then we transferred in,
75,000.
transferred 60,000.
What line?
The line budget is other fees and services,
43,800.
and you're gonna need actual spent 12,000.
Right. I was just wondering why the original budgeting was so much different. Is there something that occurred that, oh, we've got to
What did we
use
put
money
in
for
there?
I
something?
can't remember what that one was. Was that for was that grant funds that came in? I think that was grant funds. So typically, if we don't know when the funds are coming in, we will accept them in secondly, but I don't remember that on this one. I'll have to double check that.
This isn't this isn't the ARPA for the, this isn't the ARPA for the, what we were just talking about, right? Scout plans?
Oh, that was 45, I think.
Yeah.
I'll have to double check that. I can get that. What line was it? I'm sorry.
Then there's one more, the other, it was, 2 more lines down, it's other supplies and expenses. Originally 3,000 and now it's over 4 million.
And that's at 3,000?
Yeah, it started out, the
3,000.
original budget was
And now
3,000.
it's 4 million.
Transfer a little over 4 million into it.
Jim, is that broadband?
I was just gonna say that's
That's
broadband.
broadband.
That's
That's
right.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Internal ARPA.
That's broadband.
That may be the band money.
Yep, I think it is.
Okay.
Why would that be coming into your budget rather than the capital project?
I'm not sure, but we'll find out. That's the only thing I can think of. I know we have funds coming in from Ready. All our Ready funds are coming in, but that'll be, how many millions is that? That's like two-ish,
Yeah.
2 or 3 million from Ready, but I don't know why we have 4.
Yeah, 'cause I would think they'd go into the capital project, not into your operating budget.
I will find out. Let me get that information. I'll
The
verify.
line is 43,800.
43.8.
Yeah, well, this line is 45.5.
Yeah, and there's two more down from there.
No, he knows that one. This guy.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I'll get that information. We'll send it as an email.
That's the one he got research.
Right, and
Just from the top of my head.
other payments of 107, there was nothing in the original budget, now it's 107 is transferred in.
What's that?
That's 90, excuse me, 90108. Oh, no, no,
Retirement?
46,500, sorry.
The other payments.
Other
46,
payments.
46,500.
Mhm,
But I'm sure it's probably a grant that came with it.
okay,
I will double
We'll
check
find
that, though. Yep, I'll double check the transfers
I
on those.
appreciate that.
All right, so that's my updates for planning.
And tourism?
Tourism, like, I do quick, and then if we can kick it over to David
Okay.
for his update. But so real quick on tourism, I gave everyone a handout. I think someone last month had asked a little bit about, kind of what do we spend money on. So I wanted to give a breakout of everything that we spent our advertising and sponsorship funds on last year. So you can kind of get a, really a bullet point of everything we spent, all of our advertising. If you'd like to see these ads, we do have a copy of every one of these that we keep down in tourism in the office. I'd be happy to share them with you, but typically they're full page, half page, whatever. We found that there's really a good return on folks who we advertise in fishing magazines or racing magazines or things like that. And typically we found that that's how people see us. That's how they show up here. We hear all the time about, I saw you guys in a magazine, or I saw your ad on TV, or whatever. So,
I like the digital one at Destiny. I've seen that 2 or 3 times. I was like, oh, there's a Swego right here.
we went back, we did 3 billboards this year. We don't always do billboards, but we were very strategic in the locations. They're outside of our county, but you see them coming into the county, both from the east, the west, and the north. And we think that it's not super expensive, but we think that that's going to help those.
My kids know stuff.
They did.
What's your
I got a call from someone, legislator who is in Florida, and they saw an advertisement about salmon fishing this week.
All right.
There were some changes made in California, believe it or not. California has a very strong salmon and trout fishing. And because of some environmental changes that the state made, they banned fishing in certain areas. So we sent some advertising in California.
Oh,
to
yeah.
some of the higher income folks who love to fish. And super expensive. Let's see if we can pull some California folks out here.
Yeah.
But that's most of that. Two things quick. We did start a fishing advisory council meeting. Other communities have had that. We have not historically. And so we've been working on that. Our third meeting of that group will be March 23rd at Steamers at 5:30. If you're at all curious, it is open to the public. Charter captains, local bait stores, elected leaders will be there to talk about the state of fishing and things we can do to help that. And we are, as coming out of that, one of the needs that people mentioned is we're going to do a Salmon River cleanup April 11th, working with DEC, local members up there as well. So anyone who would like to do a Salmon River cleanup. And then lastly, we did, we supported, the county tourism supported the 13126 day drone show. I don't know if you saw that. It was really well attended. People loved it. Absolutely beautiful. We had over 50,000 views of our 13126 day marketing that we used on our tourism site. That's it for tourism, although if you want to know, we can bring David Owens up.
Yes, David.
David Owens works in our Tourism Public Information Office, and he's going to be speaking on branding, county branding.
And an incredibly talented artist.
Yes, in fact, he won an award for a state award, wasn't it, for the cover of our fishing guide?
Yeah, a few years ago, it was for the New York State Tourism Industry Association. We won it. It was for the full guide.
Yeah.
We have two main visitor guides, and this is not what I'm speaking about, but I might as well tell you. So we do two main visitor guides, and one is a travel guide. It kind of has all the information. It's our standard guide that we give away when someone is looking to come to the area, visit the area, and then we do our fishing and hunting guide, which we've started calling magazine because we have lots of guides and it's sometimes confusing. So if you're curious to see those, if you go down to the tourism office on the third floor, you go to the end there, there's a brochure back and you can grab a couple of those. So we're kind of constantly redesigning and printing those. But this is a project, this is not tourism, this is county government. We wear lots of hats in our office, and this is just an update on something that we've been working on for several years. But really the story starts about a year ago. We realized there's some challenges with our county brand, mostly with the visual assets and logo files that are or are not available. And logo is a good starting point, but that's very, very small piece of the whole picture. Actually, we're talking about creating assets that can be used by departments so that they have a library of content to draw from. So there's consistency across our visuals, consistency across things like email signatures, business cards, letterheads, vehicle signage, signage outside of facilities. There's really nothing in place now that gives any kind of guidelines, and certainly nothing that enforces certain standards, even basic industry standards. So this is a very high level report of where we're at in that project, basically. There was the biggest step in the beginning was an audit. So we put together an interdepartmental task force, people from all over the place. We sent it out to legislators. Some of you probably got that about a year ago, and we said, this is what we're doing. We're looking at the brand. We don't know what we're going to find. Do you want to help us? We got about, I think, 12 or 15 people on that team. We met a few times virtually. People had the opportunity to submit concerns, and we talked about it as a group. And then as of August, mid-August last year, 2025, we put together the final report, which was about 5 pages. This is kind of a summary. There's a lot of stuff from that report in here, but also trying to look ahead at what do we actually do with the brand audit now. So those recommended immediate actions here is what I would turn your attention to, rather than, there's a lot of text, I get it. So number 4, we'd like to get your feedback on these steps that we're proposing. Basically, we want to continue that audit. We need to collect some more data before we potentially put out recommendations, formal recommendations, as far as how do we actually create brand guidelines. And you know, many of you probably are aware, but this is a very, very standard thing to have in an organization's communication arsenal. Brand guidelines, if you've seen them for universities or large companies, things like that, are very standard. We've never, to my knowledge, ever had brand guidelines. We have our seal, which is great. We're not planning to change that for the sake of changing it. But what we are trying to do is formalize some of the decisions, some of the colors, some of the fonts, and the background for why we do it. There's an educational component in here to make sure that departments understand. There's a ADA compliance function to design. We're not just doing this because it looks good, but we're trying to make sure that our content is accessible online. We're trying to make sure it's legible on vehicles, things like that. So that's a very quick overview of what we've been working on for about a year. Are there any questions about these immediate actions that we're looking to do?
So you're suggesting that we have just a commonality that when somebody sees it, they know this is Oswego County.
Right.
With signatures of emails and letters and letterhead and all of that?
I think that will be part of it. I think there will be standards that are put out that will be available to departments to use, yes. I also think it'll be a closer look at a deeper dive into, what's working and what's not working. I get emails every week from random departments that'll say, we need a logo for this. Where is it? Where is that file? I'd like to do this with the logo. We say, well, you probably shouldn't do that because of this. Well, I'm going to do it anyways. There's a lot of that, right?
Yeah.
And so brand guidelines are meant to not just formalize those assets and make the files available, but also explain why we're doing it, get everyone on the same page. And there's still a lot of content that needs to be created that we can't provide templates for everything. There's billboards, there's advertising that the health department does, there's advertising that posters that are sent out by DSS. Every department has some of those needs, right? And so if we can say, hey, these are the fonts that we're usually using, these are the colors, these are the actual hex codes for those colors, we can get everyone to be a bit more consistent. I can give you more specific examples if it's helpful, but we're trying to keep it very
Roy?
But if you think about just what we did when we rebranded the buses, where we actually sat as a committee and looked at pictures. Other committees are doing that for different types of projects, and so this is going to be great. It's going to be a library of stuff that we can just access. This is the way it's supposed to look. This is the font we're supposed to look. We can get advice if we need to about, hey, because instead of us or people who are not in the business of doing graphic design trying to decide what looks best on a bus, we should be able to have assets that say this is what's readable at this size, and this is the font that we use, so we're not using something completely different every single time, which is what's happening now. I think this is a great idea.
Question. Well, one thing I always say is, where's the teeth in this to be able to say you will use this?
It's a good question. Other organizations have processes for certain threshold projects that have to go through some sort of an approval. We haven't really gotten there yet as far as to decide how that's going to work internally. Our thought right now is to make these assets available and see how people are willing to use them. Most people that I work with on a day-to-day basis, when I give them a proper file, for example, this morning I get an email from Solid Waste and they say, hey, we're printing our trash bags and we want to put a logo on it. And they say, can you help with this? Yes, of course. Here's a logo. Okay, well, we need the black and white version. Okay, here's the black and white version. Okay, well, what about a tagline? Like all of these questions, they're more excited that we're willing to help and that we're providing a baseline rather than, we'd rather do our own thing. I think when people do their own thing, it's because foundationally we haven't provided any guidelines, right? So,
okay.
I think it's worth noting too, like everyone up here understands the value of consistency, right? I don't think we almost need to talk about that. But there's also value here in saving time. The amount of work that's done, administrative work, people searching for logos, calling different people, hey, that version is from 20 years ago, all of that. There's nothing central to provide that. When new employees come in, they're given an email address, no signature as far as I'm aware, no backgrounds for your computer. So we put out something that says, hey, don't put, personal photos on your work computer. Okay, great. Well, what do you put on it? Maybe you put a bear from Alaska. I mean, we haven't provided, we have created them and we have given them at different points when people ask, but there's no central process for that. And there's no library, there's nothing in writing. People call me and I'm willing to talk to them about it, but that's about it so far.
Okay, so you put them all together when it's all done and then submit it to everybody so they know, here it is, you can choose from these.
Yeah, it should be part of your list of resources as an employee and also as departments. So people have different access to different levels. We're not going to necessarily put out a source file to the public for the vector version of the seal, but it's not a bad thing that the public knows this is our seal. This represents Oswego County. We call it. This is the language that we use around it. Those kinds of things.
Noel?
I see the value in it for sure, but it also seems to me like it's a double-edged sword. Yes, it could have been helpful with the bus, but if these standards were in effect at the time you created the bus wrap, would we have been able to do it? You see what I'm saying? So I hate the thought to stifle creativity.
We did work
Completely.
together on that though.
We did. Yeah.
We did, he was
Yeah.
involved in that, and we did, our department, when we reached out to Tim, went directly to you and figured out kind of what are we able to do, and that's why we ended
Sure,
up putting the
sure.
seal on the side of the bus.
So there's a lot of conversations around that we're trying to avoid just by saying, hey, here's the PDF of brand guidelines. But to your point, give me an example, a very specific example.
Well, the bus was a good example because if you had some in writing already rules about what they could do and what they couldn't do, it might have not turned out at the same creative level.
I think the brand guidelines need to be flexible and we need to take all that into account. So there needs to be, there are do's and don'ts in brand guidelines, but then there are also just foundations, right? This is the font we use. We can choose how we word it, for example, but what I'm concerned about is we put, in this case, Heather and I work together. What I'm more concerned about is someone puts something out and it opens up a lawsuit because it's not legible, because we didn't use a font, we didn't use proper contrast. These are all standards that it's very quick to run a design, for example, through a colorblindness test or through these are all online available, right? Colorblindness, contrast tests, there's layers of it. It depends on the exact project. Are we going to run someone's letterhead through it? No, we're not. Like, make it in Word. Here's your baseline. Here's a suggested template. But
It's
those
just keep in mind, if you go all vanilla, it's going to be vanilla. That's all I'm saying. I think we have to be very careful
sure.
not to overdo.
Sure. There's definitely, to your point, there are departments that are going to require more flexibility, and that needs to be included in the brand guidelines.
Yeah.
So, and I would say those are more sub-brands, if you will. Tourism being one. You're speaking to a specific demographic. Veterans, speaking for their specific demographic. Office of the Aging. We should have a section in there that speaks specifically to that elevates certain concerns about legibility, font sizes, things like that. So all of that should be in the final brand guidelines. But if you look at the recommended immediate actions, we're not actually even suggesting brand guidelines yet. We're looking at doing the next step. We're looking to go to department heads. We're looking to do a survey. We're looking to collect more information for the next few months. And I think at that time, then we're going to have recommendations. Do we need to work with an outside vendor? Do we need to, how much can we do internally from the brand audit? All of those things will come into light as we get to the next step.
Okay. Roy?
Yeah, I don't think this puts us in any way, shape, or form as vanilla. I think what it does is it says, so all of us, what is the Oswego County brand? Because we are marketing our brand. And if we can market it consistently, we don't have somebody saying, well, I want to put a fish on something. So they look it up and then we get sued because they use somebody's fish or somewhere else.
For dolphins.
So what?
We have dolphins here.
So, right, exactly. So what we're talking about here is the Oswego County brand here's a one color logo. Here's a reverse one color logo. Here's a two color logo. Here's a three color logo. Here's the the full color logo. Here's the full background. Here's the tourism piece. And then so as you go to that library, you can just select what you want. It's ready to go. I mean, so some of you had seen the book that got handed out a couple meetings ago. When I was creating that, I was like, what do we got? I got to put a black and white logo someplace, on the title page. I need a full color one for the cover. It needs to be high enough resolution to be printed full color on the, on the book cover. This way, if he has it already, you're going to be able to go to a location and select, here's what I need. It's not going to and then the best thing is going to be to say, like what Heather did, go work with them. I mean, the bus project, in a weird way, it was a good analogy, a good sample, but at the same time, it's probably one of the biggest ones that anybody has to do, because buses are big, I mean, what a fantastic job that it put those buses back on the map. From, like you've said, I thought that the OPT, I thought it was for physical therapy.
I did. Until I became a legislator, I thought OPT was for physical therapy.
So it's about having the brand, it's about having everything accessible, and it's about being able to put on that same page. If you have questions, contact the department, contact Dave. You've got expertise, amazing expertise that we're very lucky to have Dave on, who has such an incredible eye. And such a good artist.
Somebody can be very, very creative out there, wonderful, and then you bring them kind of in. Just kind of like there are some rails out there.
Well, I think it'll be, somebody said something about, is there any teeth in it? Well, I think it's going to be self-enforcing, because it's going to make it easy for people to just go and get what they need.
Yeah.
I want this. That would make life so much easier in my department, to be able to go in or have a team member log into a file, grab the high resolution versions that you created of logos.
Yeah.
That we would reach.
So if there, say, just 30 departments and every department needs black and white versions, all these different versions, you can quickly say 10 versions per department. I'm just making it easy math, but 300 files. Those files don't exist.
Yeah.
Like they don't. They are nowhere. If someone needs it, they come to us and we create it on the fly. That's a problem. That's what we're trying to help.
Because you're working on something else, all of a sudden you got to stop and.
I'm going to go make one for solid waste.
Ed?
Well, it reflects our formal professionalism.
Mm-hmm.
You touched on consistency. We all have letterheads. I mean, we don't want 25 different letterheads going out there and being different than legals and all that other stuff, although there'll be different information on there. I've been through this with a couple of companies, and at a glance, you know this is real, and it's formal, and it's professional. I think it's a great idea. I think we let you run with your expertise. I love to be involved with knowing what you're doing. I appreciate you coming and bringing us up to date. I say, let's go ahead.
Can I wrap up?
Oh, well, Tim.
I also just kind of a little glimpse into it here. I want to thank County Administrator Church. I mean, he was able to help really be part of this whole process and help coordinate all the different departments, because it sounds great coming from one of us, but we really do need buy-in and interest to let us know what's going on in the rest of those. And I also want to make sure you know that, yes, it sounds like this is something we haven't had, but I want you to know that many other people haven't had this either. In fact, David presented this at the last NISAC as one of the topics, and there were well attended, and a number of counties had a lot of questions about it. So I do think that we are moving forward, and I'm excited about where we're headed with it.
Okay. Stop telling everybody else about it, because we're in the big leagues now. Okay. Tim is promoting us in California.
Yeah.
We had people from all over the world come to the convention, of the journalism convention, outdoor journalism convention. Last year, 2 years in a row, right? And we got rave reviews, and we got written up in a couple of different magazines. I think we got written up in Germany.
Yeah.
So we're competing, especially with the Lake Ontario. The whole Oneida Lake to Oneida River to the Oswego River to the new marine sanctuary. I mean, all that stuff. We're in the big leagues. We're trying to draw people from all over the world. to come to ours. And this summer with the fort here, being a part of the revolution and the 250th, we're in the big leagues. That's why we got to think about it that way. This is our brand, and the consistency will be super helpful.
Well, Dr. Mary Walker got us a coin. So, any other questions for Tim? All right, moving right up. No, we're at tourism, so now we would go up to workforce
Yeah,
development.
the last thing I'll mention is that there is a city versus county baseball tournament, okay? City employees versus county employees. All of you are invited. It is, it's slow pitch softball, okay? Everyone can play May 9th. So if you're interested, we have a flyer, check it out, but it'll be playing up at our county baseball fields. And the city's been talking a lot of smack, so any of you out there who've got some skills, we'd love to have.
Oh, we should also have cheerleaders. Before we go any further, Veronica has some figures.
So, the 1,500 and the 3,000 on the two respective lines, that is what we would have budgeted based on what the actual needs of the department would have been known at the time that we budgeted. So $1,500, they knew they were going to have $1,500 or approximately thereof in fees that year, put it in. Now, what is showing in the transfer and the revised budget lines are actually either grants that came in throughout the year, or they are approved resolutions that got added into their budget for one reason or another. Now, the one thing about this particular report is that it is taking all of their 543800 lines and lumping it together as one line. So when we have a grant, we often have what's called a project code on the end of it. This particular report doesn't show each individual project code. So in the instance of the 545500 line, that is all of the grants. You've probably heard of them: CBDG 3, CBDG 4, the PLOM, the PTA, everything that was in his budget in 2025 that had some kind of grant or some kind of rollover because the grant was going forward another year or was running on a federal year or a state year, would have gotten rolled in and rolled up into the solid 545500 line. So what you don't see is all of those codes, those project codes, but those are all grants or accepted resolutions.
So it isn't just all of a sudden 75,000 comes out of the air.
No, that was an approved resolution for actually the comprehensive plan.
That makes sense.
You're welcome. Any other questions, Veronica? There. No. Thank you. Okay, moving right. Workforce development.
All right, I have a list. I'm going to run down real quick. So last month I talked about Energy Industry Career Development Program for high school seniors. We're going to run it during students' winter break. Problem is the state says they have to be in school in 18. Not a lot of them in February. So we didn't have a lot of applications. We talked to the schools. We pushed it to spring break. So now it is running from March 30th to April 2nd. The students, and we have gotten more applications out of this. It's budgeted for 15. We're halfway there or so. We changed the date during winter break, and then they had a bunch of snow days, and so we're getting applications now for these students. Again, they have to be 18 for the date. Not my decision on that. Make it hard. But we have National Grid coming one day. We have Constellation coming one day, and we have NYSERDA coming another day for these students. They're doing a mix of the Center for Energy Workforce Development's Energy Industry Fundamentals online curriculum. So they're getting access to that. They're not going to be able to do the full 120 hours in these couple days, but they're going to have access and they can go into it afterwards. It's going to give them introduction into the energy industry as a whole, and it touches on nuclear, solar, hydro, wind, anything and everything in the energy industry. But then the presentations from the 3 businesses, they're spread out in 3 days. They're also getting some soft skills, hands-on soft skills training from my staff. And then on day 4, they get to take a work piece assessment and earn their national career readiness credential. And these are 18-year-olds, so these are seniors that are graduating. in just a couple months. So hopefully, it'll get them interested if they're not already or don't have a plan in something within the energy industry. We also, with the grant, we are getting them lunch every day, and we also are going to be providing them, if they come in that day and stay the whole day, they get a $100 gift card. So if they come all 4 days, they can make $400.
Is it 18 or has to be at least 18?
It has to be enrolled in the Oswego County districts.
Who put the 18 age?
The state.
The state? I would think they could have made it 18 upon graduation.
Yeah.
You would have caught a lot of more kids that are turning 18 in March, April, May, and June.
No, career development can only be done for in-school students. They're providing in school from 18 to 24. So you could be in a college and whatnot, but to try to capture that into a program is a lot harder than going to the 9 districts. And you could say, here we go, you have to turn 18 by March 30th. It does open it up. We'll see. But it's basically, this is the renewable energy training initiative that we had gotten money for last year. Tried to do an HVAC training program with BOCES. BOCES tried 3 times offering instructor position, and the instructors declined based on funding. So that program was not able to move forward. So that's where we originally had the money. We originally had $125,000 for this program. They have now extended it out, but they extended out. We just found out last month, now you have to June to spend it instead of the end of March. Well, it's really hard to put together a training program in 3 months and have all the money expended. So we were able to move this program, which helped, but we're down to only using $36,000 for it. We were able to fund one person to go to OCM BOCES for HVAC training. So we were able to get 1 scholarship out of it. But it's just been a mess, and every local district across the state has complained to the Department of Labor about this money. So that's that. Real Life Rosies, in partnership with MACNY and Hugo Community College, just actually starting tonight with their spring cohort. They have, I believe the last list I saw, there were 12 women enrolled in the program. So a pre-apprenticeship advanced manufacturing program done at the Advanced Manufacturing Institute at Hugo Community College. And they also get soft skills training in that they will have different manufacturing tours with some of the plants in the area, and then they get to interview at the end of it. We come in on support of supportive services. If they need any help transportation, we send them to management. But if there's any other supportive services they need, that's where we step in. And they also can earn, based on program completion and certifications and employment at the end, they can earn up to $1,250 incentive at the end of it. So that just started. Oswego Build cohort, we are in the middle of our second cohort. I am still waiting. I followed up with the State Office of Strategic Workforce Development. The grant was submitted in October. They still don't have decisions on that. That is grant that would be funding our cohorts 3, 4, and 5. In our heads, we're thinking we're moving forward because we would do our next cohort kind of in June, July. We want to be able to catch graduating high school seniors, so we probably start in July for our next one. So we've still got time. Because as the third one, it would be a rinse and repeat, besides adding in some more of the energy industry fundamentals curriculum that we're doing with the high school seniors in this 1-week program. Because we're working very closely with Constellation on that. Yesterday, I had a meeting with the chamber and Brian Heffron with BOCES, putting together a trade signing day for high school seniors across all 9 districts. We want to highlight the kids that are going into a trades apprenticeship or have gotten a full-time job at a local manufacturer or are stepping into BOCES summer robotics program or into our build program. So we're looking for late May. We just kind of solidified a couple dates to throw out to facilities to do the trade signing day. We're going to run them by the districts, but to have just a big deal for these kids going into these trades careers. We're also possibly looking at adding in those that are going to step into jobs with local DPWs as well. myself and two of the senior members on my team are heading to the NIATEB Youth Conference in Saratoga next week. Yearly thing that we go to. It is mostly staff that works with WIOLA programs across the state, but I was asked to present on the great partnerships that we have and how we've created the Oswego County Child Care Investment Fund. So I will be highlighting our Oswego County efforts on that.
Make sure you get the right logos.
I hate presenting, so this was a big thing that they were like, oh, hey, you're Rachel, you need to fill in, you do it. Like, all right. But just highlighting the partnerships that we're able to do, and what we've been able to in a year, be able to get investment from private industry for that and moving forward with really trying to mitigate that barrier to childcare for the workforce. So I think that's all I have.
Any questions? Right.
So Carla Shaw contacted me. She is doing the On Point for College piece in Oswego County. She said that they're getting $400,000 from KeyBank, just for, I think it's just for Oswego County.
Yes.
So have you heard about that?
Yes.
Oh, good. So,
yep.
Excellent. Just making sure.
Mrs. KeyBank?
KeyBank is On Point for College. They're a not-for-profit that helps fill in the gaps for people that are disadvantaged to be able to stay in school. So they, the things that government can't do are a lot of the things that they do. So they provide all kinds of stuff, transportation. Sometimes they can provide housing. They can provide clothing. Things that you normally might not get. They have some mentorship things. So Carla's been working on a bunch of apprenticeships. So I figured you knew about it, but I just wanted to make sure because they were looking like they were gonna maybe not be able to do as much in Oswego County as we thought initially. This goes way back to the Anti-Poverty Task Force work. Because they had a couple of grants, but if this is focused specifically on Oswego County, I got to find out more about it. But that would be good.
From my understanding, she sits on our youth council with the Workforce Development Board, so I did hear about that. They're currently in 4 districts across the county, so I think she's hoping that additional funding could help get into the other districts because the districts have to put money into the program.
Okay.
And with budget cuts across school budgets.
She just invited me to the event where they're going to bring out the big check. So
it's Thursday.
I don't know that much about the details, but I thought it was important that we pay attention to it. If we can fund, now and then, if we can fund people into those kinds of projects that can be useful for certain people.
I did see they're also embedding themselves into the on-ramp program in Syracuse, so I don't know how that works when that expands into Oswego County, how that might help county as well.
All right. We'll look into it.
Any questions? Yeah, right.
Yeah, Bill and Trent reached out to your office regarding the 6,000 to 8,000 pipe fitters it's going to take to build Micron, maybe the 12 to 1,500 Boilermakers it's going to take to build the AP 1000. Have they reached out with any kind of training guidelines, or have they reached out for any kind of apprenticeship opportunities for the building trades?
Yeah, we've been talking that for the last 3 years.
I bet.
That's with the build program. We held our program at their facility here in Oswego.
Okay. And
In
that's
the
for
fall.
pipe fitters?
From Plumber Steeper. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're one of the 6 priority trades that we've been working with for Micron.
Sure.
Yeah.
This is very important that we have local people building these local projects.
Yes, there's mandates on that.
Yeah. So, like I'm a boilermaker by trade. Okay. So I don't want to have a crew full of guys from Alabama and Louisiana and Texas. I want to have local people building this local project. It's not a quality. It's not a quality issue. It's I'm going to work here for the rest of my life. I'm going to continue to do maintenance on this project for my entire career. And when you can put a personal touch on it, it definitely shows in here.
That's a selling point too, because people over the years have not joined the unions because they don't want to travel. You don't have to.
I tried to talk my grandson into going to talk to your group.
Yeah.
He's 23. He's a journeyman pipe fitter.
Is he fitter?
Yeah, and he's too shy. He won't. I try.
Give Rachel
A
a chance.
23-year-old standing up in front of 18-year-olds and explaining that he did it right out of high school.
Sure.
Literally 6 days between the day he graduated, the day he started.
And he's gonna retire. He's gonna retire, and he's never gonna leave us from County. Good for him.
Yeah, I try.
Any other questions for Rachel? We're still on for 11 o'clock, right, Friday? Brian, you, me?
Next Friday.
19th, yes.
13th.
13th.
Yes, next
Sorry.
Friday.
Yes, I'm just looking at my calendar. You are right. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
When I saw you, I thought I'd better make sure. Okay. Last but
Sure.
best, right there.
I'll go quickly because I know we got about 10 minutes left. So several things to report. First thing I wanted to hit is the I know we spoke about this last fall about applying for the Oswego County Microenterprise Grant Fund to create a $300,000 grant fund for doing grants for businesses of 1 to 5 employees across the county that are low to mod. Wanted to let you know we were successful. We just found out earlier this month that not this month, but in February that the program was funded at the $300,000 number. So that's huge. First time that I remember us being able to have a specific grant fund for small businesses outside of doing like ARPA funds or other things like that. So we do need to finalize the grant agreement with the state and the subordination agreement with the county. We're going to be standing up the training program because there's a training component to it. It's not just a grant to get a grant. So you have to go through a microenterprise training program, which is helpful for people who are either just getting into business or maybe early stage business and you want to make them as successful as possible. We're going to be putting together the grant review committee, which will be made up of people, a couple from our office, but also looking to have people from the county level involved as well, potentially somebody from the banking community, so we have a well-rounded group. And then also develop the application document. So we anticipate that this is going to be launched in the second half of 2026. I'm not sure exactly when yet, but as we get through some of those steps with the state, we'll have a better idea of that. But the great news is we have it, and it'll be launched this year, and we'll have a grant program for small businesses to help across the county. So that'll be huge. Second thing I wanted to report on is that Oswego County will be participating in the Mohawk Valley Brownfield Developer Summit on April 21st to 22nd. Oswego County will be highlighting, and you may ask, why are we in the Mohawk Valley Brownfield? So while we're not in the Mohawk Valley, we have a lot in common with our friends from other counties in terms of significant amounts of brownfield sites from previous industrial uses, and that, and then this is sort of they attract 300 people to this event. Many of those are developers from across the state that get involved in these types of projects. So it's a great opportunity for us to highlight some of our brownfield redevelopment opportunities. So working with Tim's office and Karen Noyes there in terms of working, and a lot of the work the county's already done in creating their brownfield inventory. We're taking a couple of those sites. We're going to highlight those there. So also a great opportunity to learn best practices for redevelopment of brownfield sites and utilizing all the state and federal programs. As I said before, it's a great opportunity for us to meet with developers and consultants who specialize in these sites. As I said before, it's April 21st to 22nd at Herker Community College. All elected officials, we're going to be sending out an invite for this. It is free to attend for elected officials. It's $75 for anybody else. It is a 2-day event, but we can set around the program for that. You can see if there's something you want to go for both days, one of the days, or none of the days. And we'll also be providing a report back at the end of it. But it's a great thing. It's the first year we've been asked to come to this, and a lot of it's related to a lot of the other good work we're doing in economic development. Like, hey, we want to have Oswego County come to this and be a part of that event. So
where is it located?
It's at Herkimer Community College. That's where they're holding it. And I will actually be, I'm going to be moderating a panel on how to attract developers during that, and then potentially participating on another panel that's there. So we'll be directly involved in this. We're directly involved in the planning of it, but we'll be involved in the event itself. Next, so a nuclear community forum was held on February 6th, co-hosted by Operation Oswego County, the county, and our state elected officials, some of them Barkley and Senator Ryan. I want to thank several people who were here in this room. We're actually there. I want to thank you guys for attending. The event was highlighted by a panel of experts, including Phil Church here, Rob Simpson from Center State, Rich Barletti from Constellation, Greg Lansett from Building Trades, and Marcus Nichols from the Nuclear Energy Institute. It was also attended, it may not have been announced there, but it was attended by several state officials who are very involved in the process related to siting new nuclear. from NYPA, NYSERDA, Empire State Development, and then also, there's many elected officials, at the county level and at the local level that were there interested in learning more about the opportunities for new nuclear. We don't have anything to publicly announce yet, but the process is still ongoing, and hopefully we'll know more in the near future. Getting back to talked about earlier, but the industrial park expansion is moving closer to breaking ground in May and June. We're putting together, the bid documents have been put together. We're going to bid that later this month. But a little bit closer to right now, we're taking on a very small project right now related to it. The IDA just approved a bid last week for $12,750 from Lindsley Excavating to remove approximately trees from about 1.2 acres on a couple little selected sites on that 185-acre site. This is important as that work needs to be completed prior to March 31st, where we would need to wait till October 1st. And that's because the trees were identified as potential Indiana bat habitat. It's not actual habitat. It's just Indiana bats like to live in this kind of place, so we only allow you to cut trees during this time of year, so you don't, while they're still hibernating in caves, because that's where they go in the winter time. Is they go to caves, and then they live in trees throughout the rest. So it's a very small, limited areas we need to clear related to where the new road and infrastructure right away is going to go in for the industrial park. But that is going to be moving forward now. So all things have been done on that, and that bid that was approved was the lowest qualified bid that we received. Just another really quick. So the IDA is at their meeting later this month is looking to update its solar generation deviation policy to include terms related to battery energy storage systems, as well as redefine certain benefits that projects are eligible to receive related to solar projects. This will be done at the March 23rd meeting at 1 p.m. at the OOC office, 44 West Bridge Street. OOC is going to be meeting later this month on March 16th. It's our full board meeting, Monday, March 16th, 3 p.m. at Cuban Community College Fulton campus. And it was brought up the very first thing in this meeting, but the Oswego County Civic Facility Corporation is meeting on March 24th at 9 a.m. at OOC's office. So lots of stuff.
Well, now you can I'll get you right in a minute. Now you can appreciate what Heather has to go through it when you're at the end of it.
It was a great meeting.
Yeah, right.
Well, we could also just put their names in a hat and pull them out before the meeting.
There you go.
Okay. Austin,
yeah.
Do you think that there's a chance for more than one new project across the state? Is that?
I do, because originally the governor stated 1 gigawatt of new nuclear through NYPA, and then at the governor's state of the state in January announced that her goal now is 5 gigawatts. There's no 5 gigawatt plant, so the only way you would do that is multiple, and now you can do multiple at one location, or you can do multiple across the state. I mean, I don't know exactly what the state's thinking, but I anticipate that their plan is to do multiple at multiple locations.
Are there multiple vendors available to build these as well?
There were 23 developers who responded to their RFI.
Yeah, there was quite a few developers who responded. Now, the one that we're working with is the largest in the world in terms of operator of nuclear, so I think we're in a pretty good position with Constellation. But there's other entities. There's Holtec. There's other ones that do plants. And especially, I mean, a lot of the operators that are out there now operate the traditional plants that were built, in the 60s, 70s, 80s. With the new advanced nuclear generation, there's new operators, there's new developers, and so I believe that there's opportunities for multiple. I think that we're best positioned to be the first because we're just so far ahead. Yeah. We have, we have a community that's supportive. We have the infrastructure. We have the workforce. We have all of it. So other places are going to have to catch up, and it's going to take a long time to do that.
And the micro enterprise fund, what do you think the size of those average grants would be?
So they're going to be anywhere from $5,000 to $35,000. The average size is probably going to be $20,000 to $25,000.
Okay, great.
Yep, and there's going to be criteria related to job creation or job retention. So somebody who's maybe supporting one job is probably going to get less than somebody who's creating 5 jobs. So we'll have all that kind of built into it, but. One last thing on that is that, we want to try to really focus the dollars. A majority of the dollars are going to be focused outside of the cities just because the cities have their City of Oswego Economic Development Office. They have the ability to stand up their own program like this. The same thing with the City of Fulton. They actually had one of these like a year ago. So we want to try to get it to the communities that don't have the ability to stand up their own. So places like the North Shore, the northern end of the county, eastern end of the county, we're going to really try to get to those places, northwestern part of the county, to try to get those dollars there. So we're going to need your help to identify some of those projects. When we're ready to kind of roll this out, we're going to have a process, and we're going to want to make sure people are letting us know who are the best, the companies in your areas we should be talking to.
Okay, one last thing is Phil asked to speak for very shortly because we are right into health, hence the reason that we need to expand this.
Okay, just real quick updates on the new sanctuary. Federal budget passed, it was level funded, so we didn't gain anything, but we didn't lose anything. Which means that they can't hire staff for this sanctuary this year. That's being staffed, co-staffed by the folks at the Thunder Bay Marine Sanctuary this year. Secondly, on April 2nd, they've partnered with the International Ocean Film Festival to bring the film festival here to Oswego. Things underwater. What is significant about that, even though it's only an evening event, is that the other sanctuaries who have started these film festivals, started small, they turn into 3- and 4-day international events. So we want to make sure this one's lastly, you may be aware this is managed not only by the federal government, but co-managed by New York State. New York State has stepped up and they've put together a $400,000 project to create virtual reality exhibits on shipwrecks in the sanctuary that will be available for schools on your computer or state fair, be able to move around where you can put on a headset and dive direct yourself into the dive. So they I was pleased that the state stepped up and started that project. So that's the quick update.
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion second. Thank you, everybody.